Alright, and welcome back, guys. As most of you know, we're getting Season 2 Reloaded tomorrow. This is going to be a mid-season update for Cold War Season 2. With this, we're getting a lot of new interesting information. We're getting a new zombies map, new zombies objective. They're nerfing some things in zombies. They're nerfing Deadwire. They're patching the MonkeyBOMB glitch. And a bunch of other stuff like this is also being changed in this season. Now, starting off, I want to clear a lot of misinformation that people have been spreading. A lot of people are saying the new sniper rifle is coming out tomorrow. That, however, is not the case. As you can see here, it says later in the season, the ZRG 20mm sniper rifle will be added. And then besides this, Treyarch has also tweeted that this will be coming out next week and not tomorrow. So try not to get too excited about this because we're not getting it tomorrow. However, it is just coming next week, so not too long of a wait for it. And then besides this, something else that's going to be coming later in the season is Gunsmith Custom. So you'll be able to kind of change up the attachments and stuff like that on custom blueprints. Something else we're going to very quickly kind of touch over is weapon balancing coming to Cold War. This is going to affect both multiplayer and zombies because this is in the global kind of changes. So starting off here, the Krig is going to be getting a buff. It's mainly minor stuff, just some visibility changes, nothing too big. Now on top of that, the FFAR is also going to be getting a buff. It is getting increased ballistic speed. The Groza is also getting a pretty big nerf here, increased maximum damage range by 40%. Then on top of that, they're changing how the muzzle and underbarrel attachments kind of affect a lot of the ARs. Now the Milano is getting a bunch of different buffs here. This is going to definitely help it out in both multiplayer and zombies because this is kind of one of the weaker SMGs in both modes here. Then they're buffing the KSP by giving it a reduced burst delay and increased ballistic speed. This weapon's already kind of potent in multiplayer, and I think after these changes, this might be kind of a new meta weapon to use. The AK-74U is also getting a nerf. This is one of the more used weapons in multiplayer. Same thing with the LC-10. One of the more used weapons in multiplayer is now getting a reduced max damage range, so it is going to be nerfed a little bit too. Now we get into the LMGs. The Stoner is going to have a reduced maximum damage range. The only update we're getting in this is they've disabled the glint effect on sniper rifles with iron sights, something that probably should have been in the game from launch, but at least we're getting it now. The Magnums are also something that's getting a nerf. If you use these in multiplayer, you know the Akimbo Magnums are pretty deadly. They're going to make it where the hip fire is less accurate, and then it's going to be even less accurate when you're using dual wield and shooting both of them at the same time. Now we're moving into the launchers. If you don't have gold rocket launchers yet, this is huge for you because the RPG is now going to have a bigger blast radius, and it's going to have greatly increased length of straight rocket flight path. So if you're working on the challenge for destroying aerial streaks with the RPG, this is going to be huge. This is one of the hardest challenges for DM Ultra. Destroying the UAVs, the helicopters, all of that stuff now is going to be a lot easier because they've greatly increased the length of the straight rocket path. And on top of that, rocket launchers are now going to be doing more damage against flak jacket and hardcore. So hopefully getting those double kills for rockets are going to be a little bit easier than what they are now. I feel like every single update they've been buffing the rockets more and more because at launch they were really bad and getting them gold was super hard, but they've just slowly each and every update tuning it up a little bit, and hopefully we're getting closer and closer to the point where it should have been at launch. Now we're moving into something that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, but especially for zombie players, this is a pretty big update. Players can now earn weapon XP and challenge progress by using any weapon, even if they do not currently own it. So what this means now, if you're a zombies player and you buy those bundles because you don't want to go to multiplayer and unlock them, you can use the bundle version of that weapon and you'll be able to get camos for it and you'll be able to level up the weapon. And I know quite a few people who don't play multiplayer at all and they'd rather just, buy the bundle, use that version of the weapon. So now if you want to unlock every single weapon and get Dark Aether for all of them, you don't have to play multiplayer at all. However, you are going to have to spend some money. They've also made some minor adjustments when it comes to movement speeds. You'll be able to go from crouching to sitting to all of that stuff a little bit quicker now. Now we've got a few multiplayer changes. I'm just going to kind of gloss over and go over the important stuff. If you guys want to see the full patch notes, they will be linked in the description. So the main thing that multiplayer is getting tomorrow is Miami Strike. This map is going to be pretty small and hopefully it's going to be pretty fun. I think this map might be better than Nuketown when it comes to grinding camos, and we're going to be getting a 24/7 playlist. So if you're still grinding DM Ultra, Miami Strike might be the new kind of go-to playlist to unlock all of the camos for your weapons instead of Nuketown. On top of that, we got a bunch of changes to different modes, different maps. Nothing, really too important to kind of take note of here. The only other thing in the multiplayer section that's really important is flashbang/stun challenges are now easier to complete. So now you'll be able to go in and get those camo unlocks for the flash and stuns a little bit easier. They don't really say how it's easier, it's just easier now. So take that for what you will. Now for the section I know most of you guys have been waiting for, these are the zombies changes coming tomorrow. Starting off, one of the biggest things, we're actually getting a new map in zombies tomorrow. We're getting the Sanatorium map. It's already been in Dirty Bomb, but you're going to be able to play it in zombies tomorrow. And on top of that, it's going to be a night version of the map. This to me is actually pretty huge because I think zombies maps that take place in night are very interesting. However, it doesn't really make sense for like a FIREBASE-Z or, you know, a main series map to take place completely in the night, because the night setting gets a little bit, you know, dull after a while. But I think this night mode is perfect for Outbreak because we do have the other 3 Outbreak maps that are going to be in the day. So you're going to be going from the maps that are in the daytime, and occasionally you'll be playing on Sanatorium, which will be in a night mode, which is going to be really cool. So it's definitely going to be really refreshing for gameplay. You're going to be having the day maps, and then occasionally you'll get the night map, which is going to be really, really cool. They're also adding a new objective to Outbreak called Secure. They haven't really gone into too much about what this is, but it's going to be something else that's going to kind of spice up gameplay a little bit more. They're also adding the dirt bike to Outbreak, which is cool, and they're adding more intel. I don't think we're going to get any challenges for this intel, but just more intel to kind of progress the storyline along a little bit more. Then the next thing here is stability, and as you know, the farther and farther we go down on this list, you're going to see a lot of changes that kind of affect the stability of the game and kind of prevent crashes, which to me is one of the best parts of this, because I know a lot of people have issues with crashing. Not everyone. There are some people who don't have any issues with crashing, but anything they could do to make the game more stable is always a huge W for me. Then we have a couple bug fixes here, none of it too interesting till we get to the last thing. Players will now take damage from the Dragon Relic rocket thrusters when it takes off. So now in Outbreak, whenever you finish the Dragon objective, when it takes off, you will take damage if you stand directly underneath it. So just know to kind of stand back, wait for it to go up, go to the chest, claim your loot, and then leave. Now we have changes to some of the objectives, and there's actually a lot of interesting information in here. They've reduced the duration of the holdout objective by 30 seconds. That to me is kind of huge because the holdout objective isn't super hard, but it does get kind of, you know, boring after a while. A full 5 minutes of sitting and holding an objective gets boring towards the end of it. So whatever they can do to kind of reduce that time so you can finish it, move on to the next one, is definitely going to be a big improvement. They've also added the ammo crate to all of the different holdout objectives that didn't currently have it. The rest of the changes to the objectives are all sort of bug fixes, nothing too important, except for this one. The defend console will now take more damage from Hellhound. Now, it's definitely going to be something you want to watch out for. Who knows how much they increase the damage for it by? But before this update, I've never failed a defend round because, you know, damage taken to it. But who knows, with them changing how the dogs work for it, it might be quite a bit harder to do these defend rounds now. Now, once again, we've got a lot more bug fixes here until we get to the final thing. And I think this final thing might upset quite a few people. Addressed an issue where zombies would ignore players when another player deployed a symbol monkey and left the map. So with this, they have fixed the MonkeyBOMB glitch. You're no longer going to be able to do the glitch where all the zombies sit in one spot and you're able to just grind as many camos as you want. And I have a feeling there's going to be quite a few players who aren't too happy about this. Then once again, we've got a lot more bug fixes. Nothing too noticeable until we get to this bottom one right here. Closed an exploit that allowed duplication of the Raygun or the Ray K by using the Pack-a-Punch. So now doing the duplication glitch that involved the Pack-a-Punch machine starting tomorrow will no longer work. I know a lot of people are still doing this to save a bunch of time when it comes to using wonder weapons, only having one person in the game get one and then be able to duplicate it for everyone else. However, just keep in mind, whenever this update goes live tomorrow, that is no longer going to work. Now, another thing that's going to be changing that I think is going to change up gameplay for a lot of people, support weapons that use ammo will no longer be refilled when warping to another region. A lot of people have been buying one death machine, using it on a round of Outbreak, saving a little bit of ammo, teleporting to the next objective, and that would actually fully refill all of the ammo you had for that death machine. However, starting tomorrow with this update, that is no longer going to work anymore. Then we have a lot more bug fixes. However, something that I saw here that kind of caught my attention, addressed an issue where the shockwave could be obtained through the door at its location. I didn't even know this existed. I've never seen anyone do this, but apparently you were able to grab the shockwave through the door without doing the little trial to get the shockwave. Now in this, there are a ton of Dead Ops Arcade changes. I'm only going to read off the most important one, and that is that players can now earn player XP and battle progression while playing Dead Ops Arcade. This is super exciting because when I grinded and got all of the challenges done in Dead Ops Arcade, I was really annoyed that I wasn't getting XP and I wasn't getting any sort of battle pass progression. But now when you go and play Dead Ops Arcade, you're actually going to be getting both of those things, which is very, very cool. And like I said, there's a bunch of other information about Dead Ops Arcade. I'm going to leave the full patch notes below if you want to go through and read all of this. Now we have some Onslaught changes. Keep in mind, you can only play this mode if you play on PS4 or PS5, but with this mode, you're now able to get pack-a-punched weapons and able to get some level 2 and 3 armor via drop, which before this update, you weren't able to get pack-a-punched weapons and a lot of this stuff here, but now they're allowing you to get a lot of this stuff via drop, so it might make this mode a little bit more interesting to play. Now, at the end of the patch notes here, we actually have a lot of super important stuff coming to zombies. The first one here, players can now apply any weapon blueprint during gameplay, meaning when you get a weapon out of the box, buy it off the wall, or any way you obtain this weapon in zombies, you're going to be able to go to the pause menu and apply any weapon blueprint that you own or have bought unlock to that weapon. This is a pretty big thing because especially if you've bought some really cool looking blueprints, it's kind of lame to get the weapon in a game and it's like, oh, I spent $20 on a really cool blueprint for this, but I can't use it because I'm not able to swap it mid-game. You're now able to do that. However, this only works for weapon blueprints. So even if you have Dark Aether or any sort of cool camos unlocked for the weapon, you're not going to be able to apply any of that mid-game as it stands right now. However, later in the season, when they add those custom blueprint things, hopefully you're going to be able to save those blueprints and apply those mid-game, so you will be able to apply any sort of camo or attachments you want to a weapon. Now we get to one of the most notable changes in the entirety of the patch notes. Let's talk about the Deadwire nerf. Deadwire tier 5 now correctly spreads to 3 targets instead of 5, and addressed an issue where Deadwire was doing the same amount of tick damage to zombies and special enemies. Now we did get one Deadwire nerf before this. However, that was such kind of a slight nerf that not really anyone noticed it. This, I think, might have a massive effect on Deadwire, and we're just gonna have to wait till this update comes out to see if Deadwire is still the best ammo mod. I think even with this nerf, it still might be the go-to ammo mod. However, we're just not gonna know until this nerf happens. We're just gonna have to do some testing and see what the best overall ammo mod is to use after that. And they've also changed elemental pop. They've toned down the intensity of the effect on the tier 5 electric discharge for elemental pop. Now the last thing in the patch notes here, they've addressed an issue where some players could get stuck in the pause screen in zombies. I know a few people who have been affected by this. Definitely an annoying thing and definitely huge that they fixed that. Now that is everything in the patch notes here, everything we should expect tomorrow and in the future. I definitely want to know, what are you guys most excited about and least excited about in this new update? I know the new Outbreak map and the new Outbreak modes are definitely going to be very exciting to see tomorrow. However, I know a lot of people aren't going to be looking forward to the Deadwire nerf and a lot of the other glitches they've patched in this update. So I'm definitely interested in what you guys think about all this. But with that, boys, I'm going to go ahead and end this one here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.